Welcome. I'm Alan Cohen, and this is the Quarantine Interview. Today's guest, we have great professional guitarist Mick Gaffney. Mick Gaffney has played on many sessions and toured all over the world, and he's going to tell us about himself. He's also, performs all the time, and really with this pandemic that's going on, it's, he's going to give us some of the insights on how this is really affecting the music industry. So let's say hello to Mick Gaffney. Hey, Mick, how are you?
Hey, Alan, great to see you, man. Thanks for this.
Great. I haven't seen you in so many years. We go way back. We go back to the 70s at Berklee College of Music when we first met. Remember?
I remember it well. Yeah, we did a lot of stuff there. And I remember you because before I even met you, the guys were telling me, hey, there's this guy, Al Cohen. He knows every chord in the world, man. He's unbelievable. So when I met you, I had to make you play all these chords. I remember that to this day.
What was the name of that book? James Baker Guitar Chords?
Mickey Baker. The Mickey Baker book. Yeah, we had all the Mickey Baker chords. Yeah, and you came to school rocking it. So yes.
And back then we were together with other of our friends. Not Mick Gaffney. You are Mick Gaffney. Mike Kuhn and Jamie Glazer, also really extraordinary guitar player.
Yeah.
A lot of people came from back then.
Sure, Jeff Oswald. He was
Jeff Oswald,
yep.
Right? And then who was the drummer that played on so many sessions?
Well, there was Vinny Colaiuta. Yeah.
Smith.
Steve Smith. Just a whole bunch of them. Yeah, they were great players in those years. Yeah.
So anyway, so we met back then, and from then till now, obviously, is a long time. So how did you really get started in music itself, in the business?
Ooh, wow. Well, let's see. When we were kids, I guess it was really ninth grade or something, eighth grade or something like that. The whole thing with us was bands.
Oh yeah.
It was like, we got to form a band. That was the thing. I wasn't really schooled or anything before that. It started with bands. And actually, I'm still there. It's just bands. I'm still doing the same thing.
Bands, huh?
Yeah. I guess, but, it evolved from there, obviously, with school and training and legit gigs and reading and all that kind of stuff. So I've always led that double life. But that's where it started, form a band. And in high school, we ended up having a really good band. We were one of those, back then it was Chicago, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and all that kind of stuff. Right. And we just taught ourselves to play it, and it got pretty good.
Right. Tower of Power?
Yeah, sure.
I remember you in school, you had the band, the Alston Funk Band.
Yeah.
Back then.
The Alston Funk Band. So that was a cool thing. Well, what happened was the first year I was there, we were there. We used to jam in those practice rooms, and that's where, like I said, we would jam with like Vinny Colaiuta, and I met Carl Bo over there, but I already had a band. Some of the guys I brought from Albany,
right?
And so we formed that band, and Vinny played in that band, and a bunch of guys played in that band. Then I left and came back. And Jamie had been playing with Alston Funk. And when he left, then I got in Alston Funk. So, that was through.
Did you go to school the full 4 years? Did you?
I did 4 years. Yeah. The whole thing. You did too.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So where'd you go from there? Did you go on the road with, did you go?
Yeah. So from there, actually subbing for you. Actually, you got me the gig. Oh, yeah. You were doing chorus line, right?
Right.
Right. You were doing chorus line. And so Todd Cooper called me for the gig with Sarah Dash.
Roommate, yeah.
And we toured with Herbie Hancock and, Chic and stuff. Did a bunch of gigs on that tour. And, that was...
Well, playing with Herbie, one of the all-time legends of jazz.
That was a great, what do you call it? An extra degree after Berklee was just watching that band every night. Great.
Right. So who was in that band? Do you remember certain names?
In Herbie's band was Alphonse Mouzon, Paul Jackson, Webster Lewis, and Ray Obiedo. Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah, crazy, man. Some of the legends. And then, just give us a little bit more background, and then we'll bring us up
Well,
to.
okay. So in addition to all that stuff, what I did was the first summer out of Berkeley, I just learned to read. I could play guitar, whatever, in bands and stuff. And I had actually gone on the road with a show band before that. So I had experience already. But I came back in the summer, and like Westbury Music Fair, they had those music venues where all the Hollywood stars would play. But what happened was Grease came to the show, and they needed a guitar player that could play rock and read, because the guys that, most guitar players that could read couldn't play rock in those days. It wasn't, we were like the first generation, I think, that did that. So they called me. I mean, I looked like I was 12 years old. I was like, I barely could do anything. And they put me in this orchestra to play Grease. And so from there, I played all the shows with the great orchestra, and everybody that came in. I don't know, Robert Goulet, Danny Thomas, Jim Nabors, all these, Florence Henderson, a whole bunch of shows came in. So for years, I would just play all the shows in the orchestra. Plus, I was in a band. I'd be in either Olsen Funk or one of those funk bands, and bands trying to make it big. Like the Almost Famous bands. And play shows. So we led that double life. And then at Berkeley, of course, we gigged to make a living. We were making we were paying our rent with our gig money, playing the frats and all that stuff. So we drive home from Maine Sunday night, get in at 5 or 6 in the morning, 9 o'clock be in class.
Right.
And but that was great. It was a little rough here and there, but it was great because we were applying what we were learning, in real life. Right. Again, it goes and this is going to apply to what we think about live music. As much as we've done all kinds of recording and everything, there is something about live music, and that's what I've been doing all these years, along with recording and stuff like that.
Right. So I see you do have your own studio there, obviously. Is it a home studio, or you do?
Well, it's another story. Once again, I go to you, who had a real studio, making real productions and real records, and really knew what you were doing. But just
thank you.
No, I remember.
I'm interviewing you.
I remember your studio. You had the real deal. So me, I had a pretty cool Pro Tool set up here for a while. Never touched it. I'd come home, pack up for the next gig, run in, run out to the next gig, take the kids to the soccer game, run to a gig. I just never had time to even touch it. Right. But now, with the given conditions, it's like, well, let me turn on my Logic Studio, and I'm working, sending tracks to people now. But I will tell you, I have the greatest appreciation for recording engineers now. After producing records and yelling at them in the studio, now, forgive me. It's pretty crazy trying to do these tracks, but that's what I'm doing now.
Right. And you're a producer, and you're also writing your own material?
Well, I don't write a lot. Like, it's not my main thing, even though I'm trained in it. I like to collaborate. I like to fix. I like to, work stuff. I'm not that inspired to change the world with my latest creation, so to speak. I love to play, give me a gig, put me in the band and play. That's my most fun. But, I do that too, to an extent. I have a few songs here and there, on Stuff Records or whatever, but it's not what I try to do full time. I'm not trying to sell songs, maybe sometime, but.
Well, everybody has their own forte, and definitely, to have a great guitarist on your track is having a great forte. So when somebody's looking for a really powerful and yet very sensitive player with tons of chops, they'll call you.
Well, yeah.
No, it's true. Everybody has some. I remember there was an interview with Quincy Jones once, and he was talking about, or they were talking about, the Beat It record, right? And when they needed a great guitar player, he just said, you got to get the right guy for the right job, and he called Eddie Van Halen to play the solo.
Right.
And Eddie's like you. He came in the studio. He said, "Hey Quincy, what do you want me to play?" And Quincy said, "What are you asking me for? That's why I hired you."
Right.
So
Right.
everybody has their forte, and that's what that's what makes the music scene what it really is. I'm just also curious. I mean, you mentioned a few of those other names at Westbury. What are some of the biggest names that you really play with? If you don't mind flashing a few. Like,
Oh, Bruce Springsteen told me never drop names. Oh, I stole that joke.
drop.
No, I'm just kidding. No. Oh no. Who have I play with? Oh geez. Let's see. What kind of genre? I mean, I did play with let's see, Mark Anthony and people like that, Billy Preston. I don't know, just all kinds of people.
No, I know, and I remember also you were playing with stuff with Gordon Edwards.
Okay, so that's been my main gig for like 30 years now. That's been my gig. You know how I had those other bands, like Stuff has been the band now for, since I've been in New York.
Stuff is still going on.
Stuff is still going on.
Right now, but Gordon's still alive and well?
Gordon is alive. He actually resides in a veteran's home because his knees are shot. Oh. But we just did a gig in March, and he was there. We wheeled him in it was at the bitter end actually. Oh, and it was Chris Parker, the drummers that were on it: Chris Parker, Mike Clark, Clint DeGannon, and Bernard Purdy. Wow. The drummers that play in that band are ridiculous. That just from Steve Gadd on down. And
Steve was just 75, right?
Yeah, right.
See, you don't like to drop names, but the names that you just dropped are some of the all-time greats of the music industry.
I've been lucky and fortunate to play with some ridiculously great people, in different situations. It's incredible, great.
And really versatile. So you play a lot of different styles. Is guitar your main? Do you also double on any instruments or?
Oh, I've had to, but usually there's enough different guitar styles I have to do. But I mean, I've had to play banjos and stuff like that, bass. But I don't really try to do those kind of gigs that much, just if it's a side thing here and there. I know you've done that, right?
I was lucky enough to start playing tenor banjo, maybe not bluegrass so much, but tenor banjos for the shows. And I really love that. And from that, I was able to, branch off to some mandolin. So when you're doing like a show, for instance, like Fiddler on the Roof or Ragtime or those, you really have to double on, guitar, mandolin, banjo. I had to play zither for and, really a little of everything, So
I'll tell you, my second show that I did back when I was 20 or whatever, 19, it was John Davidson, and I had to play banjo then. Now, I had never played banjo, but the guy told me, here, just take this banjo, tune it like a guitar, and play it. So, the night of the gig, day of the gig, I just you had to do that, right? You just, okay, there it is, and there's the show, lights come on. It's insane. But so, you have to do it. So obviously I've done it, but yes, when you're doing Broadway to the extent that you've done it, there's a lot of that, there's a lot of it.
A lot of doubling. Yeah. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes you might be playing a mandolin, and then you got to pick up the banjo, and they're tuned like violins, and then you pick them up, but they're in fifths apart. So sometimes you go for that split second and say, "What note is that again?"
It can be harrowing in that pit. I know.
But it's great. So let me ask you now, because obviously the main reason why I did call you, because I do know you're a player and you're really a live player besides recording, but you do a lot of performances. So really, what's going on right now, and how is this impacting your career right now, what you're doing right now? Obviously, you could have been booked probably here on out through the summer by now, and now you don't know when the next show is going to be. you know,
I am booked. You know, we have Darlene Love coming up in May. We, you know, all these things are booked, but they're canceled day by day, and probably will be for a while.
right.
And I'm not going to mope or complain because I'm a guitar player making a living as a guitar player, and we got frontline nurses and doctors. My niece is a nurse.
Oh, God
I
bless.
cannot complain about not being able to play guitar and getting paid. Sorry, you know. But you know, speaking to musicians, hey, you know, that's going to be the reality, and other realities are happening too in the music business. You know, I turn on my Logic guitar licks and say, well, why do I need to play anymore? You know, there's a lot going on. You know, there's a
You know, on all sides, from samples to
yeah. How many string players do you see in the pits now compared to when you first started doing shows?
of course.
So, you know, this is just the nature of what's going on. But
Yeah.
but again, the question is going to be, what is the value of live music going to be, or what is it? And we can get pretty esoteric, you know, and talk about values of people's jobs. Right now, doctors and nurses we're starting to recognize, you know, what they're doing. In 9/11, we started to recognize, you know, first responders. In the wars, we started recognizing the soldiers. I mean, you know, it keeps happening, you know, recognizing what people are doing for the world, what their jobs are. And our jobs with music, you know, and art, you know, it has an importance. But what are you going to do? Like, rate the importance of music or doctors or presidents, or, you know, and I think I've come to the conclusion that you shouldn't really rate anyone's importance. You should appreciate it, but each individual has their own importance. And if mine is guitar playing, okay, great, you know, and I can easily say, well, you know, I'm not as important as doctors or nurses. Who needs guitar players? Who needs music? You know, we really need, you know, people to help with the virus. We really need people to help with the economy. We don't need music. So it's easy to say that. So again, I'm not going to complain about not making money. But, you know, we all should have something that we're contributing to the world. And if music is it, then we got to do it.
Right. You're right. We are, of course, to the first responders and the nurses and everybody working right now, how much we're valuing them now. But once again, when we're out of pandemic time or wartime, their lives are also enriched by what you bring to the table, by bringing them joy and music and memories and the first songs that they heard or their first dance at their wedding, or when they, you know, when something great happened or when something sad happens, they'll remember that one song, you know. So
thanks for that. Yeah.
I mean, in that respect, you know, the musician's job, the composer, writer, songwriter, whatever it is, their job is also to bring the emotion that those people, while they're so valuable, they bring to the table. They cannot do what a guy like you does, or, you know, what these songwriters do. So you're right. It all makes the world go round, and it also unites us, the sound of music, right? So
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the universal language. I mean, that's well said, Alan. Thanks. I mean, that helps us. You know, very well said. Yeah, and I would go, you know, get into what the live music thing is. I mean, recording music and technology, I think is really great. You know, it's allowed a lot of great things to happen that didn't used to be able to happen. But when you have live music with musicians and people together, I believe that there's a quantum thing that happens, you know, that's above and beyond just the sound, you know. There's something to that. And it can't really be captured with just the recorded music, the elevator music. I mean, that has its place too. But, you know, I've been seeing this a lot on the front lines of playing, you know, especially like in clubs and stuff, you know. In the big concerts, you know, with the big screens, even that's kind of a different event. But when you have more intimate gigs or even parties and stuff, you know, it becomes a communication between the people and the musician. It's different than just musicians recording or playing.
Yeah,
So,
of course.
you know, the live music right now is the thing that we can't really do. And, you know,
Wondering, yeah, how long this could be. I mean, even if we get better or it starts going down, leveling and all that stuff next month, who knows? It's next month. When do we, expect that there will be a crowd again?
yeah, I think it'll be a while. And even when it is, you know, people are going to be more wary, and, you know, it'll be a little different. But hopefully, you know, people learn from the experience and get better at being people. You know, like what you said about music. You know, how many people like ever think like that? You know, they sort of take it for granted the same way. Hey, maybe people took all those nurses for granted. You know, get me my bedpan, whatever. You know what I mean? Like you got to appreciate everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and what they do, whatever their job is. Waiters, how many people yell at waiters? You know, I mean, you shouldn't do it. You know, people can make mistakes. It's a hard job. So presidents, it's easy to yell at presidents these days.
Right.
But I mean, you know, it's a hard job.
You know, whenever I see them bashing a president, whatever side you're on, when they start bashing, the people that are bashing wake up to bash this guy. You know, I don't want to get,
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get political.
wakes up every day trying to save the world,
Yeah, I mean, you know.
And the other side is bashing. You know, it's like save the world. What on your post on Facebook, it's so easy to spit venom out to both sides.
Yeah. Both sides. It's like
that. But meanwhile, the reality is, it's such an important thing to do, and that person wakes up to do it. Just like somebody if doesn't like a musician or something, they suck at this and that. Meanwhile, he wakes up that day and tries his best to make the best out of what they could do. What are you doing? Just sitting there being a critic.
I know. Again, well said, Alan.
I'm glad you got me in this interview.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, that's what I like about I really reached out to a lot of my old-time friends, people that I haven't seen in a long time, and yet I know that are very versed in the music industry. And I mean, you lasted your whole career playing music, and that's so respectable. And everybody that you play with, from the big names to, just like you said, the parties, really respect you, Mick. I only hear the greatest things, and I know personally about you playing, but it comes across in everything that you do. It really does,
Well, listen, thanks so much, Alan. But let me just say,
yeah,
it's my family and friends. I could not do. It's not me. Without these people helping me all the way along the way. I mean, my wife, my parents, everybody. I could not do this at all. It really takes your family and friends to keep you in this thing.
How long have you been married? How long?
Is it a quiz?
Oh, well, you brought it up. I mean,
1982.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And now you have, how many children you have?
We have 2 children, 4 grandchildren.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And like I said, my daughter and her husband, they live in the Philippines with our two grandchildren, and they're here. They got out. They're teachers there. They got out and are staying here for the duration, and they're teaching from here on Zoom like we're doing.
Right.
And in fact, they're teaching right now because it's a 12-hour difference.
All right.
So they're in another room doing the same thing with their students. So right now we're just hanging out with our kids, having a great time, a lot of baby time and, all that kind of stuff. So I haven't been missing anything. It hasn't hit me yet that there are no gigs.
Well, it gives you time to enjoy the other side of life too. I mean, it could get a little hectic with everybody in the house, of course, but the emotions go up and down because it is such an emotional thing to be, quarantined.
Yeah. And right now, again, for me personally, I can't complain because it's a joy having the kids here because we don't get to do that. And they're at a wonderful age, 5 months and 3 years, so it's just a great thing. So for now, we're just cruising along, having a great time. And later on in the year, we'll worry about bills later. It is what it is. Not gonna worry. We gotta appreciate people. That's it.
Yeah, so I want to thank you again for coming on, telling our audience about it. What, you ready to play us?
No.
Like something. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should look up Mick Gaffney. He is an all-time veteran professional guitar player that's played, as he mentioned, with so many wonderful people, and you really brought a lot of joy into people's heart. And continue to do that. And God bless you and your family, and hope we all make it out okay. So I
Thanks
really
so much, Alan. Thanks for doing this, and let's keep in touch, man. It's a joy speaking with you, and let's play someday too. Come on.
well, the Zoom is not fast enough. Too much lag time.
No, we can't do it by Zoom. We have to wait till we're live again.
It feels clear. All right, Mick. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Peace to you and your family.